Wasim, tell us first of all a bit more about this new ground offensive in and around Hama and Idlib. Why there and why now?
What we know is that since dawn, the Russians are intensifying their air campaign, and we saw it in many videos where we see they are heavily hitting many rebel towns in this area. And we know also that the Syrian army is trying to advance on the north of Hama and in some very specific places in Idlib. Why? Because it's the road from Damascus till Hama, till the coastal area, which is the stronghold of the regime. And we see here on the map, everything purple is the Russian strikes and blue are American strikes, while the gray part is the Islamic State territory and the green is the rebel territory. So we see that Russians are concentrating their strikes on rebel-held territories. But there is a military reason for that, because from these areas, the regime is having the biggest threat on his vital areas, which is the coastal area and the road, as I just said, from Damascus up to Hama, Homs, and then the coast. So, without forgetting that the rebels advanced in Idlib last summer, advanced around Hama last summer. So the Russians are backing him up in order to gain some territory, to create some kind of a buffer zone between rebel areas and between the areas held by the regime. And more of that, it's more like they want to restore no man's land, which will make it very difficult for rebels to advance toward the regime areas, and it will ease the military situation of the regime, who witnessed many setbacks in the last months.
Now, Russian planes are already in the air, that we know. What about the troops on the ground at the moment? What's the likelihood that Russian ground troops could also be at play?
We know that Russian troops were involved in battles in Latakia a few weeks ago, special forces. We know that sniper special forces were involved in battles in Zabadani, which is southern of Damascus on the border with Lebanon. And we have reports of a Russian camp in the town of Hama, next to the stadium of the town of Hama. Some activists on the ground are saying that Russian troops are involved in this campaign that started at dawn today, but there's no proof till now that they are really involved. Without forgetting that Russian advisors and trainers are present on all the levels of the Syrian army, and even advising militias in the region of Latakia. So it's not very, it's plausible for them to fight on the ground, especially that we know that Russian officials said that volunteers will be allowed to fight there. And we had rumors that Chechens loyal to President Kadyrov might get into the fight in Syria, as they did in Ukraine a few months ago. So this could be preparing the public opinion for more and more Russian involvement on the ground and against rebels to secure the regime areas. It's going to be mostly against the rebels for military reasons, and less likely against the Islamic State, which is present in the eastern regions of Syria and the deserts. Those regions aren't that vital for the regime.
All right, Wasim, thank you for that.